Okay.
Ready to go.
Yeah.
Good evening. I'm Joanne Wormuth, and I'm Director of Healing for the Institute of Spiritual Development. And I'm here tonight with some of our instructors and our pastor and co-director, Diana Friedel, to introduce you to our Healing Practitioner Program. A little bit just about myself, and I have to admit that I'm typically not very comfortable talking about myself. I'd rather hear your story. But I think the most significant part of my story is in 2014, I had an angioedema attack, which put me in the emergency room. And I guess I didn't realize how serious it was. My family, who's EMTs, realized how serious it was. And after I'd finally stabilized, they decided to keep me to make a decision as to whether they were going to admit me. And if they admitted me, I was going to have to be transported to Bassett and Cooperstown. So I wasn't real anxious about that. So my family left because it was like time for people to start going to work or whatever. And they were going to keep me just to make sure I was okay. And I went on a journey. I went on a journey with an angel. And I was later to learn that it was Archangel Gabriel. And you hear the stories about traveling through, it rolled out in a white tunnel. I traveled through with this angel through blue sky. It's taken me about 10 years to finally figure out that what I was being shown was the all. And it was very pleasant, and I would have happily stayed there, but it wasn't my turn and it wasn't my time. So I woke back up in the emergency room. And with my daughter's help and with Diana's help, I was able to identify that I had been called to be a light worker here on earth. And I had just that year retired from being a human resources manager for the DCMO BOCES. And the first reaction I think I had was, is there a job description, or do I have to sign a contract? I mean, how does this work? So it was Diana, who's still one of my very dear friends and mentors, that kind of helped and guided me into what my next steps were going to be. And I started my studies with Eden Energy Medicine at Omega. And I went on and I got Eden Energy Medicine Foundations 101 and 102. Then I also went on to Lilydale, and I studied with several individuals in Lilydale, but the most notable were George Corey, who happened to be an angel expert, Sandra Ann Taylor, Sharon Klinger, Rudy Hunter, who's an amazing energy healer. And more locally, I did my study in Reiki and became a Reiki master teacher under the guidance of Cindy Staffen in Oneonta, and integrated energy therapy 1 through 3. I studied with Beth Purdy, and Beth has a practice in Delhi. And I did my master teaching in IET with Stephen Thayer. I continue to study. Those are pretty much the highlights. Studying is something I never stopped doing. I do a lot of soul searching. And in the fall of 2022, I took a class through Mel Witter, who is pastor at Treasure Coast ISD in Florida, on finding my soul's purpose. Why do I do this? Why do I do what I do? You know, I'd reached that point, and all the studying and all the work that I've done. And what I determined was that I'm here to be a mentor, is other people as they move into service as a healer here on earth. And it's my job, or it's my purpose, I should say, to serve in such a way that I help to facilitate that through instruction, through mentoring, through practice, for just being there to answer all those questions. So Diana kind of asked that, what will you receive, or why would you want to take this program? And the first thing that jumped to mind for me was, I reflected on this today, is you're going to start a healing process of yourself. Many of us start on this path because we identify that there's something within ourselves that's unsettled that we need to heal. So as you heal others, you heal yourself. So it's a journey in self-healing, as well as educating you to be able to do healing with other individuals. You'll learn several tools to use in a healing practice, whether you just do it for yourself or your family members, your neighbors. You're going to pull together tools that you can use to do that. The way I teach is that I try to point out for people where things intersect, where they run parallel. In my instruction, I'm always going back and pulling forward something that I already taught you, perhaps in another class, and I bring it forward to bring it into how it is cohesive, how it blends with all that we're doing. And I acknowledge that everyone has different learning styles. Some of us need to see it, but some of us need to read it. Some of us need to do it. We do all of that. We hit on all of those. And learning doesn't take place in your comfort zone. And I know that. So sometimes you have to be a little uncomfortable with where you're going. And that's okay too. You're going to develop your confidence through practice. And you're going to build relationships with like-minded people. You will have a family of fellow healers that are there with you, that you develop this very close relationship with. And I'm kind of on that note going to ask if Melissa's one of ours, through the Healing Practitioner Program that started, when did it start? In 2021. It had some slow going because of COVID, but Melissa's a very dear friend and one of our healing practitioners that's been through the program. So Melissa, are you comfortable speaking to your experiences?
Sure, absolutely. I was flattered and very honored to be asked to speak tonight, because as we started the Healing Certification Program a couple of years ago, I was really just taking the baby steps in my own journey down that road. Never, my intentions were mostly that I loved any class I ever took with Joanne, and I wanted to learn more. I think I may have already completed level 1 of Reiki at that point. I can't remember exactly. And I remember being a little intimidated because some of the people that were enrolled in the program had many, many years, in some cases decades of experience under their belt. And I wasn't sure if I really fit in. Thankfully, all of those people have become very dear friends. And I really, have found a new purpose for my life. I'd certainly never imagined that I would do this in any way professionally. But I'm happy to report that shortly after finishing the program, I did establish my own practice. I am done a couple of shows now. I'm sharing salon space where I'm actually sitting right now. I just finished with a client a few minutes ago. And the Reiki and the integrated energy therapy that I learned from Joanne are really the core of that. Um, I think, the coursework is all very informative. The teachers are wonderful and passionate and have so much of their own experience to impart in, talking about their journeys um, and what's led them where they are. But we also learned so much from one another. I think one of the really special parts of the program were the monthly healing development circles. And it was through one of those, a presentation by one of my fellow students about emotion code that's also introduced me to a new modality that I've been exploring and now just kind of dabbling my feet in body code as well. Um, but this is, whether you've been practicing for some time or new to this, this program really is a wonderful way to build your confidence and set you up. Whether you want to do this professionally or just with friends, family, and with yourself. It's a wonderful foundation for that.
Thank you, Melissa.
You're welcome.
And, when Melissa says that she was intimidated by the years of experience for some, you can't imagine the first time some of those people came into my and I'm like, wow, I'm teaching you. But you know what I've discovered is that everyone within this group is very giving, very real, very just down to earth, and it doesn't matter.
Mhm.
There is not a class that I've taught with this group that I haven't walked away without learning at least one new thing myself.
Mhm.
I have grown light years working with this group of people. So, if you were intimidated, Melissa, the first time I met Jai, I was like, whoa, whoa. But, she's fun and she's real and she's very receiving as well as giving. So
Mhm.
it's all worked out just fine and
Yeah.
continues to. So, um, our program, Diana and I have spent a great deal of time putting together a curriculum that we think is broad and comprehensive and empowers people. We started out with the history and the science. I think history, knowing the history, even the individual history of healing modalities, is important to what we do. And going back and looking at how intuitive healing and spiritual healing had its roots, and also the science behind it. So Diana and I we collaborate on this. I do the history piece and Diana does the science piece. And it's a good introduction. It'll pique your interest perhaps to learn some other things. We also include in our programming self-care, because you got to take care of yourself. You can't always be giving it away. So how do you take care of you to keep your vessel clear and solid, grounded? So we include that. We also kind of at the last minute, at the beginning of our other program, made the decision to include meditation in terms of developing your intuitive skills, learning to come into a relaxed state. So we've incorporated three series of classes on meditation as part of our program as well. I teach Reiki 1 in the program. It's the first in, this solid, it's such a well-accepted modality in terms of healing, and people are familiar with it, that's kind of our base. Along with that, I do a separate course on the chakra system, because the form of Sui Reiki that I teach, it does work with the chakra system. So that's why we do that. Tom Mead, who's with us, and I'll let him speak more to this when I'm done, also teaches dowsing for health, and Tom is a very experienced both educator and dowser. And no matter what you do with us, we have you go through a program in ethics and protocols. It's just part of it. It's just important to know what you can do in terms of your practice, legally and ethically. So just some guidelines for that. And then we learn Reiki 2. And in Reiki 2, we learn one of the strong points we learn is distance healing. And we now meet on a monthly basis to actually send distance healing to people. We come together as a collective. We each do it individually on our own on almost a daily basis, but we come together collectively and send distance healing to clients once a month. And that kind of evolved from our healing development circle. So we welcome the development piece as well as sending healing in our circles once a month. I know that we just have one person with us, Marion, right now. Marion, just based on everything that I've just said, do you have any questions for me before I kind of turn things over perhaps to Tom to explain?
Maybe you want to do me second.
Oh, you want to go second? I'd love
yeah,
to
is that
have you go
okay?
second.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And I was thinking also, since this recording will probably go on, it may go on Facebook, it may go on the website, that maybe we can allow Marian to talk when we turn off the recording, if she wants.
I have someone reaching out to me in my email right now that wants to know why she can't get in.
Oh, what's her name?
Cindy Hill.
Cindy, okay, send her the link. She's the one on the wrong link. Do you want me to send it to, or just?
Can I just do forward?
Yeah, you just press the invite button on participants. So
I don't have that.
on the, okay, Cindy Hill.
I'm not in there.
I might have Cindy Hill's thing.
I could forward this message to her.
What, does it have the link in it?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead. Yep. Cindy Hill, okay. Yeah.
All right. And I just sent that to her.
Okay. Was it Cindy.Hill.012 something? Cindy.Hill. Something?
Cindy.Hill 012@gmail.
That's it. Yep. Okay. Yep. So she'll get it from you and from me. So be sure.
Sorry about that, guys.
Okay.
Are you still recording? Because you've
Yes.
just read out her email address.
Well, wait, it's going to be edited before it goes anywhere.
All right, perfect.
Right, it's been a little crazy.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I'm Diana Friedel. As Joanne said, I'm the pastor and co-director of ISD Oneonta. So we're one of 4 different chartered ISDs around the United States. And I wanted to talk today a little bit about the why, like, why do I do this? What's my why? Anytime something is exciting in life and, you feel like you're gravitating towards something brought you there. And I feel like Spirit tapped me on the shoulder to be of service for people who are in pain or having difficulty in their lives.
Diana, can you spotlight yourself?
Oh, sorry. Whoops. Okay, let me do that.
Okay, it's on me.
Okay.
Now it's on Marion, and I don't think she wants it.
Spotlight for everyone. Okay, hi. I'm Diana Friedel. I'm the pastor and co-director at the Institute for Spiritual Development in Oneonta, and we're one of 5 chapters, chartered organizations, a part of the national group around the U.S. We've been here since 2017 when we had our very first meeting, metaphysical, spiritual center and church and learning center, so school as well. And I wanted to talk a little bit as we talk about the Healing Practitioner Program about the why. Why do I do this? What causes anybody to do anything? Why do you head in one certain direction in your life or another? And we'll have all of you talk about that afterwards a little bit. What's your why? And I felt like at some point after some study where I was originally just doing this, my intuitive work and healing work, both at Fellowships of the Spirit in Lilydale, I began to feel, like, well, I could keep just doing this for my family. I could just keep, helping my son after football practice, and he would ask for a healing, after he got hit real hard several times. And, I could keep doing that, little small things. But in meditation, I kept getting tapped. I felt like spirit in meditation was tapping me on the shoulder and saying, hey, you need to do this. And very specifically, one time when I was in school at Lilydale at Fellowships of the Spirit, we meditate every morning. And it was one of the days where I had a horrible migraine headache. That was very, very common back then. And I started to meditate, and I'm imagining, or what's coming, the visualization that's coming is all these little men with hammers like dwarves, working on my headache, bam, 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 chipping away at my headache until it went away, like all the 7 drawers or something. And my headaches you could not move my headaches back then. That was my biggest worry. Like, okay, I can't keep doing this work if I have these headaches. And the headache disappeared. And I got that message. I heard it loud and clear. Just continue doing this work as a medium, as a psychic reader, as a healer. And these headaches are going to be gone. And I was like, all right. So that, and a couple of other times where it felt like I was being asked very specifically, can we have a handshake agreement on this? Are you doing this? Are you definitely? And in one of those times, it was actually in meditation, it was Jesus who came through. So I guess I think of this as, non-denominational, makes sense, I suppose, for me because I was raised Methodist, but people come at this spiritual work and have their gifts open up from all different walks of life. If you have been practicing Hindu, you may have a Hindu goddess coming to you to say, hey, you need to be doing this. You realize you're good at this, you need to be doing it. So that's kind of how I said, all right, I guess I'm doing it. And that was about 22 years ago. And so in that time period, since then, my sister came to me and said, hey, why don't we do this? Why don't we start this chapter? And so my sister Sue and I, long story made short, went through all the business of making us a 501c3 and getting chartered. I use my energy healing now the way I practice now, even though I've studied a lot of different modalities, and every once in a while I take something new with Joanne because she's awesome. And so something new might add into what I do. But now what I have always done is chair healing. So I'm primarily a psychic reader and medium. And while I think I was sharing last night with the class that I was teaching that I can be in the middle of doing a reading for someone and my hands start to get hot. You may notice this yourself. You have your own way of saying like, hello, the energy's running. And so then I tune in and I say, okay, why should I be doing a healing for this person? What's going on? So then that becomes a healing and a reading combined for a client. That's one of the services that I offer. The other service that I offer is I get healing visualizations all the time when I lead guided meditations. So I now just follow them. And other people who lead guided meditations, it may, you may be doing a healing for someone and you get a visual of how you're going to run that energy through that person in maybe a different way. And so that's why I think a lot of our courses that we teach fit both the healing practitioner program, the 10 courses that are required, and they also fit the intuitive practitioner certificate program. So you can be doing one, and at the same time, you have now hit 3 of the required 8 for the intuitive practitioner program. So it's a really great idea to say, I'm going to do both, because as you're learning new techniques for healing, and you're getting new downloads and new, I forget what you call them through Reiki, that Joanne is doing for you. You're constantly adding to what you have to give. So I wanted to say that. And the other why is that we learned after doing the Shift Fair in Oneonta, which is our holistic and psychic fair for so many years, that when we do this calling, as healers and intuitive workers together as a team, we have much, much greater results in general. The learning is so powerful. So being in a class, rather than trying to learn by yourself by a class on the internet or whatever, but being in a class where you're all kind of watching each other's progress and experiencing each other's healings and each other's readings, you really form that very strong bond that Joanne was talking about with that like-minded group who are right with you, who are developing right with you on your spiritual path together. So learning together is very powerful. So I think Joanne already said I'm teaching meditation as part of this course. Also meets the requirement for intuitive practitioner, because when you meditate and you learn what are those stages of consciousness, how do we get there? How can I be sure I get there? I want to get to that beautiful place where I see purple every single time. And then I'm getting answers. I'm hearing things, I'm seeing things. How do we make that a part of our practice so that every time we meditate, we have those kinds of results? We could meditate to get the answer for ourselves, for our family. And it's a part of everyday living for those of us on this call, and for the faculty and the students who've been through these programs every day. Like, I need that answer. What's my spirit guide saying? And feel like you've indeed tuned in and gotten a really good verifiable answer. My part of the meditation is of the class is that I am concentrating on the scientific proof for meditation as well. So that's what I do. So I think that's all I'm going to say. So I'm in my 23rd year of doing this. I'm also a trained teacher. I taught acting at the college level at Hartwick College. And the other major thing that pulled me in was that my son passed away when he was 5. So that was the big search when the rug was pulled out for me. At that time, I needed to pull the rest of my family through this, and I needed to know if this stuff is real. Is there really another side? Is that where Jamie is? And I found out that yes, indeed, it is. So, and I did Reiki 1 and Reiki 2 later, much later in Oneonta after I finished at Lilydale. So the healing aspect, you can get into this journey at any point you already have a modality that you practice and you want to get some more. Or you can be starting right from the very beginning. Your spirit guides are right with you, by your side, ready to work with you on your own individual lesson in every class. It's fascinating. Everybody gets something different out of it. Okay, so I will leave that there, and I will turn the spotlight over to Tom Mead. And Tom, even though he hasn't been able to get his camera going, so I'm going to spotlight you anyway, Tom. And people will have to imagine the amazing, handsome man that you are. Okay, let me just go spotlight, remove it from me. I want to take the spotlight off me. Sorry, let me try it in the chat. Do it over there. Oh, I know why I can't spotlight you, Tom, because you have no picture.
No,
Hello. Okay, so let me take off. If there's a way to take it off me altogether. Well, okay. Remove spotlight. There we go. Okay, so now Tom, if you speak, it should be showing you. And everybody can put yourself on a gallery view or speaker view. And then Tom, when you start speaking, it should go to you, I think.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
Hear me?
Yep. Gotcha.
Okay. So my name's Tom Mead. You talked about Joanne talked about being a mentor. My background is, I started as a school teacher and a swimming coach, and I've literally been a swimming coach for 40 years. I finally retired a little over a year ago from coaching swimming. And I've been a dowser for a little over 30 years now. My different types of healing, and probably my biggest problem was not working with other people as much as paying attention to myself, and that's a lesson that it took a long time to learn. Um, I've been trained in Reiki, emotional freedom technique, reconnective healing, the reconnection, dowsing, and the life systems biofeedback. And I practiced those while I had my own business for 11 years. And I've been out of that now for a little over 4 years, going on 5 years. So my big focus now is I still work with people, but I've always been I think a teacher, a mentor, and in teaching dowsing, I've trained with some of the best in the field. John Butler, who's out of Syracuse, Harold McCoy, who's deceased but was from Arkansas, and Raymond Grace from the state of West Virginia. And the key to any of this is really having a connection, I think, to your higher self. And while I haven't, experienced, I think anything of the likes of Joanne, where I actually speak to the higher powers, but through dowsing I can. And so that's what I've used for myself to do that on the path. And anytime that I work with somebody, because I still work with people, but I no longer have an office, I always use dowsing. And dowsing is an important part, I think, of any type of healing, because it can tell you things before you're working with someone. And I always use it. checking on them on issues that they may have. So then when it comes time to start talking with them, and working with them, I've already have a connection and understand issues and problems they may have. Uh, and that's what dowsing does. I mean, dowsing's been around for several thousand years, and most people, kind of have the understanding that it's a way to find water. And there's different dowsing tools, whether you're using a fork stick or a pendulum or L rods or a bobber, or actually doing body dowsing. All those are really just tools for the connection to your superconscious mind, to your higher self. And so in the course, people will be learning, how to make this connection, how to get into the relaxed state to begin with, the alpha state. The people who are really outstanding dowsers are connected across the board with their brain frequencies, both alpha, beta, theta, delta. And they've done studies that show that. So you just kind of, you let it go. And probably the biggest thing I say to people is to get your ego out of it and let it go. And then your connections are there. And so in the course, people will learn not only how to dowse, but the things that they need to do. The may I, can I, should I program. Do I have the appropriate permission to start dowsing? Do I have the ability to successfully dowse in an area? And am I ready to do that? And should I, considering all different aspects? And, some people, think it's well, geez, if I'm not connected with that person, well, in asking may I, can I, should I, you're connecting with that person, through that whole process. And by doing that, there's also charts that people will be able to identify with for all different areas and different health aspects, on how to use, whether you're using a pendulum, L rod, bobber, or whether you're doing body dowsing. And it's a good tool in the whole process of healing. So I look forward to it. I've done it, for years. I still teach EFT, emotional freedom technique courses. And anytime I, work with somebody with emotional freedom technique, I've done plenty of dowsing up front. And, I think that's kind of really the forte that I have now. While I did energy healing through Reiki and the reconnective healing process, it's dowsing, emotional freedom technique, and life systems biofeedback. Any questions?
Tom, what brought you in, or what was your first foray into this, and why did, there you were, a teacher, and what made you turn to look at this modality and get so good at it and decide you were going to study?
It's kind of funny. I don't know if you know Ben Perkis. He's a guy that works. Ben works a lot with it's essential oils, and I heard about a treatment a class he was doing, and so I went to it, and they did a raindrop treatment on me in the class, and my back was like totally humped over, and they did the treatment, and my body just flattened out. And so I said, okay, that was kind of interesting. And then Ben and his wife Elaine, they brought Raymond Raymond Grace up for a section. It was, I think it was 2 days on dowsing, and that was it. I was connected after that. Some of the things that Raymond did and showed what you could do. Just like moving underground streams. He showed me how easy, how that was, and of course, my name is Thomas, Doubting Thomas. Uh,
Yeah.
I said, well, I don't believe that. And I had the opportunity to try it at Ben and Elaine's house. They had an outbuilding that had constant water in it. And so through dowsing, I just drew, you draw a map of it and, you know, you look at the stream, how you could move it, whatever. And I did, and it disappeared. And I said, oh my God. So I've done that for several different people on different occasions, and also noxious energy rays. They come up through the earth, and it's usually through cracks in the earth, and it's from uh, frequencies that are developed, and they come up, and they have a negative impact on people. And I've found people that have had specific health issues, and I would douse to see if they had these noxious energy rays coming up into their house. And uh, a lot of them, especially people who had cancer, had them. And it's amazing what I would do is, and a lot of times, just through dowsing, may I, can I, should I don't tell people I'm doing this. I find out where they live. I Google their house and draw up a map, and then see if there are any underground streams with noxious energy rays. And then through a whole process of dowsing, actually move them. And the first time I did that, there was a woman up in Syracuse that was a member of the Dowsers, and she had stage 4 brain cancer, and she had that. And John Butler had done dowsing, not to move noxious energy rays or anything, but to help her with the healing. And so I went in and looked at it, and she had these underneath. And typically they're coming up under the bedroom of a person, and that's where they spend the most time. And believe it or not, her cancer disappeared.
Mm.
And that got me going on this. And oh, geez, I've done this for dozens of people. And most of the time, you know, I don't go back, I don't check on them, I don't ask questions, but there have been enough times where, I've talked to people. If I didn't tell them or they weren't aware, I would find out one way or another how they were doing. And the changes are incredible when these noxious energy rays are moved. So it's just another way of dealing with dowsing, checking on the frequency of somebody, if their frequency is off, or their life force, what their life force may be, or their energy fields. Lots of times, and people's energy fields are down, and things like that help other people, but at the same time, always, working upon myself and my wife, Phyllis. I mean, we've been through this whole COVID thing, and we never got the vaccines. We never went that route, and we never had COVID. And I mean, there's things that you can do to heal yourself of anything, and
Yeah.
and most people that are healers know that. And I think it was Joanne mentioned, you've got to take care of you, and you as well. You've got to take care of yourself first.
Mhm.
Uh, you can't help others if you're not healing yourself as well.
Right, right. Yeah. So I'll take that as a little lead in, and maybe anybody else have questions for Tom before we move ahead? Or questions for me? And I guess as we look at the, we'll look at the, we'll just give a brief overview of the whole coursework. I know a lot of people use the, and I'll spotlight myself again first. Thank you so much, Tom. I have learned so much from Tom. Okay, I will share screen with the program itself for a minute, unless, Joanne, feel free to interrupt if you have another thought here at any point. Anybody feel free to stop and ask a question or anything. So here we are. The first class for this program is 2 Thursdays in September. We mostly schedule these on Thursdays. We found it's easier to do that way, to know that every Thursday you probably have something and you can kind of clear your schedule for the Thursdays. And we've been trying to stick with that 5:30 to 7 time. So there are, of course, other bigger courses that come along, that come on a Saturday, or the Sunday series here. Joanne told you already a little bit about the history and science of spiritual healing, which is fascinating. Joanne, starting from way back, when do we first know about spiritual and energy healing in different cultures? And then I have a big piece on the scientific proof and how are we using energy healing nowadays in modern medicine. And my husband is a physician and he works at Fox Hospital. So I know a lot about, well, not that, if there's anybody using energy healing or medicine locally, I'll hear about it. Critical care, self-care for the light worker. We have the honor of Amanda Hoover being able to teach for us that on 3 Sundays from 12 to 2. It has a lot of little exercises that you do, and you get homework with this. So that's why it's spread out so far, to really look at how you are supporting yourself as a light worker and what kind of help you have around you in your whole family and community, and how you're helping yourself and protecting your own space, as well as boosting your own self-care. Okay, meditation for mystics and healers. There's one of those that fits both. So if you've taken that already, you have already met one of your requirements for the healing program. You may have taken it for the intuitive practitioner program. So there's one. Reiki 1, the next one is October 14th, right at our Lotus Center, in person. If you have taken it already, tell Joanne and give her your certificate. You'll see those instructions on there. The chakras, the spiritual growth highway, as Joanne explained, there it is on the 19th and the 26th, 2 Thursdays, where, and surprisingly, you use the chakras. I use them all the time in intuitive readings as well, not just to see, to maybe intuitively you pick up on, you may get a color of a chakra and you're being drawn to somebody's heart chakra. There's some heart pain or heart stuff going on, not just in a healing, but also in a reading. Then I'm feeling a lot of heart pain here. So there's something you're going through currently that, as and they're giving me the symbol of a breakup, but it's all around the heart and you're still healing from this. Does that make sense to you? Yes, I just had a breakup. So the important things in people's lives are being revealed through the chakras. And it's really cool to learn a little more from Joanne and some techniques and how you would, tap into that energy anatomy. I'm speaking for you, Joanne, but I'm trying to give a quick overview of the whole thing. I hope to, pop in if I'm, if there's
And I
anything.
just realized I didn't have
Yeah.
that date on my calendar, so.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. The
Yeah, I
night
don't think I have Tom's date on my calendar
and the
either. so.
26th. Okay. And these dates are now on, I did make sure they're on our beautiful new website. That is still for isdoniata.org. So these dates are on there as well. The dowsing with Tom, that's a nice, we try to stop and have, it's a fun day. We do that right at the ISD in Oneonta, which is located now at Tom Landon's residence still. So we also Zoom that at the same time. So if there is somebody who wants to take it and wants to, doesn't want to come in that day, or you're all the way in Florida or something, which has happened before, you can attend via Zoom that day. But it is more fun now that we can, attend in person. The ethics and protocol is both for healing practitioners and for intuitive practitioners. So if you're going for those 2 certifications, you've hit them both in one fell swoop in this program. We address both. This is so that you can practice under the auspices of ISD as well. And if you've, if we have a church service, we may ask you or tap on you. If we have a spirit fest where there's a fundraiser and you are a certified or sanctioned healer or intuitive reader, we may tap on you and say, can you, volunteer your services for this fundraiser? Or can you be someone who's doing some healings or readings for services twice a month? And we have one coming up this Sunday, as a matter of fact, at Darling Hill Retreat. So fun location. So for our metaphysical service. Reiki 2, Saturday, January 22nd. But as, she makes new dates as people need them. As she gets a few students who are ready for Reiki 2, she can set a new date for that. Okay, so the tuition, if you sign up for everything, is on this overview. If you're an ISD member, it's a lot less. So we have a discount. And if you decide to sign up for the entire program before our first date, which is September, before that first date, which is September 14th and 21st, you get an additional 10% off. So we count that all in. If you've already taken Reiki 1 or Reiki 2, but you still want to take the program, talk to Joanne, and Joanne and I will figure out, your prorated rate, etc., as clearly as we can. Okay, you can register for the whole program right at this one here, History and Science of Spiritual Healing. I think I also made it so you could sign up for the whole program at Meditation for Mystics, Healers, and Seers as well. So this whole chart is on isdoniata.org, and the whole explanation is right on the website, so you'll see it there. So I'll stop. Any question? I guess we could stop the recording there so you can ask your individual questions. Is there anybody who has some questions about the whole program that would, excuse me, can be on, that they don't mind their question being on the recording? So we'll stop the recording there and we'll keep the meeting open so people can ask their personal questions. And remember that you can ask your personal questions. Okay, great. You can ask your personal questions by contacting Joanne and she can answer all your questions, or just write to us through the website and I'll forward the question to Joanne. So we'll say goodbye to the recording for now.